I never expected to be the guy writing a story like this, but here I am. My name's Mike, and I'm just an ordinary guy who thought he had an ordinary life, married to the love of his life, Lisa, for almost 5 years. We were good together, or so I thought. We had our ups and downs, sure, but nothing that seemed out of the ordinary. Then came the anniversary trip. We had planned this getaway for months. A weekend away at a fancy resort, just us, celebrating our anniversary. I thought it was going to be perfect, time to relax, reconnect, maybe even rekindle some of that spark we'd been losing lately. The truth is, Lisa had been acting a little weird in the weeks leading up to it. She was more distant, always on her phone, and she'd get tense when I'd ask about her schedule. When I pressed her, she'd blow it off, say she was working late or had to handle some stuff at her office. I bought it at the time. She's a sales manager, always busy, always traveling, or so I told myself. But in the back of my mind, I felt uneasy. I'd catch her sneaking glances at her phone, hiding texts, and once I saw her delete a message quickly when I walked into the room. I thought I was just paranoid, maybe overthinking it. Still, I kept an eye on her. I wasn't the jealous type, but I knew something was off. I just didn't want to admit it, that I might be losing her, or worse, that she might be doing something she shouldn't. We left for the trip on a Friday morning and everything seemed normal at first. We checked into our hotel, went out to dinner, laughed and talked about the future. But that night I noticed her phone kept buzzing nonstop. I was trying to sleep, but she kept looking at her phone under the covers, elbows tucked in, face tense. When I asked her what was so urgent, she said it was just work. That was the first lie I remember catching on to. It didn't seem like much then, but looking back, it was the beginning of everything falling apart. The next morning, she was unusually cold. She snapped at me during breakfast when I tried to make small talk. Her phone kept ringing and she was unusually eager to answer every call. It was like she was trying to hide something, and I could see that now. I should have known then that something was seriously wrong. But I didn't want to face it. Instead, I just pushed it aside, telling myself maybe she was just stressed about some project or her job. We had plans to visit a nearby town that day, but I started feeling like I was just along for the ride, like I was invisible. Later that day, I decided to check her phone when she was in the shower. I don't really know why. Maybe I was just fed up with the secretiveness, or maybe I was hopping to find something that would clear my mind. Whatever it was, I went through her messages. I found a thread that made my stomach drop. They weren't just casual texts. They were explicit, dirty, sexual, filled with things I'd never even heard her say before. She was talking to someone named James, and the things they were saying. I swear I felt like I was punched in the gut. She was telling him how much she wanted him, how she couldn't wait to see him again, how they would finally do it, whatever it was. I read messages filled with talk about sex like a couple of teenagers. There were pictures, not just innocent selfies, but full-on nude photos. And the worst part, she was saying how she was so tired of waiting and hated lying to me. My mind was racing. I couldn't believe it. My wife, the woman I trusted, had been cheating on me with my best friend James. For months, while she said she was working late, while she was at the office or meeting clients. She lied straight to my face, played me like a fool, all while fooling around with someone I thought was my closest friend. I don't think I slept that night. I just sat there, clutching her phone, staring at the screen, feeling like everything I believed in was crumbling. I kept asking myself how I missed the signs, how long she'd been doing this, and why she'd lie so effortlessly. The betrayal hit me hard, more than I expected. It wasn't just the cheating. It was the lying, the deception, the fact that she had kept this secret behind my back, hiding her true self from me. That's when I knew I had to confront her. I couldn't keep pretending I didn't know. I had enough. But I also knew at that moment that I'd never trust her the same way again. The trust, once broken, is damn near impossible to repair. And the rage, it was building up so fast I could feel it boiling inside me. The moment I saw those messages, everything changed. I wasn't just angry, I was furious, hurt, and confused all at once. I didn't sleep the rest of that night. I stayed awake trying to process what I'd just found. It felt like someone had ripped my chest open and was pulling out my heart, piece by piece. I couldn't believe Lisa, my wife, the woman I loved, was lying to my face about everything for months. And James, my best friend, How the hell did I miss all this? Had I been blind or just naive? The next morning, I woke up early, feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. I decided I had to confront her. No way I could keep quiet about this. I waited till she woke up, trying to figure out how I was going to say it, how I'd piece it all together without just losing my mind. She was still in bed, scrolling through her phone, looking irritated when she saw I was already awake. She gave me that fake smile, the one she saves for everyone else when she's hiding something. I looked at her and said flatly, "We need to talk." Her face immediately went defensive, like she knew exactly what I'd found. She tried to brush it off, said I was overreacting, that it was just work stuff, that James was just a friend. Yeah, right, I told her I saw the messages. Her reaction was nothing short of a bitchy sneer, a roll of her eyes and a dismissive tone. She said, "Oh, please, Mike, you're being paranoid. You're just jealous because I work hard and I don't have time for your insecurities anymore." I couldn't believe her. She had the audacity to lie again, to act like I was crazy for even bringing it up. That was just the start of the fight. I told her I wasn't stupid, that I saw the pictures, the messages, the lies. I wanted to know why she'd do this, why she'd cheat, and why she'd keep lying when I had all the proof. She rolled her eyes, then started with the typical bullshit. "It's not what it looks like," she said. "You're just insecure, Mike. James is just a friend. We're just talking. It's not like we're having sex every day." I looked right into her eyes and told her I knew the truth, that she had been sneaking around, lying to me for months, betraying everything we built. She scoffed, told me I was overreacting, that I was jealous and paranoid, that she still loved me but she was just bored. She said she needed something more, that I wasn't giving her what she wanted anymore. Honestly, I felt sick listening to her. It was like she was justifying her cheating, twisting everything around to make me the bad guy. That confrontation ended with her storming out of the room, still denying everything. I was left there, devastated, feeling like I'd been punched in the gut. The shock was setting in and I couldn't believe she'd done this. The woman I married, the woman I trusted, was sleeping with my best friend. I kept replaying the messages, the pictures, everything I'd seen. I felt betrayed to my core, and I knew I couldn't stay silent anymore. In the next few hours, I started thinking about what to do. I needed to decide whether I was going to try to fix this or cut her out entirely. My mind was racing with so many questions. Was this just a fling, or was there something deeper involved? How long had this been going on? And most importantly, could I ever forgive her? The anger was raw, but underneath that was this bitter sadness that I couldn't shake. I decided I wasn't going to let her keep fooling me. I went through her phone again, looking for more evidence, trying to get a full picture of what I was dealing with. I found more messages, flirty texts, plans to meet up, even some about them finally doing it, as if it was inevitable. I saw the way she talked about him, like he was some kind of escape from me, someone she could be wild with. That realization hit me hard. She'd been planning this for a while, hiding it all behind her perfect but bitchy facade. That entire morning was a blur of shock, anger, and heartbreak. I remember sitting there, staring at her phone, realizing I'd been played for a fool. I thought about all the times she'd lied, all the times I'd trusted her, and now it was all shattered. I didn't even know who she was anymore. And James, my best friend, how could he do this to me? To us? It felt like the world was crumbling, like everything I believed in was just an illusion. I felt so betrayed, so humiliated, so full of rage I didn't even know what to do with it. That's when I knew I had to make a decision. I couldn't keep pretending I didn't know. I had to face her and I had to figure out what my next move was. But deep down I already knew I was done. I was done with her lies, her cheating, her fake smile, and with James. I was ready to take back control of my life, even if it meant the hardest thing I've ever done, walking away. After I collected myself and really looked at everything, I realized I couldn't stay silent anymore. I could keep pretending that I didn't see what was right in front of me. So I called her back into the room. Her face was already unreadable, like she knew I had enough ammunition to blow her whole world apart. I told her I knew everything about the messages, the photos, the lies. I watched her try to act shocked, like she hadn't known I'd find out. But I wasn't buying it anymore. Her response was typical: shrugs, eye rolls, that bitchy smirk that she always put on when she thought she was in control. She said, "Mike, you're overthinking this. You're just jealous. James is just a friend and this is all blown out of proportion. That's when I lost it. I told her she could save the act for someone else because I wasn't buying her bullshit anymore. I told her I saw the truth and I wasn't going to be some fool anymore. She tried to deny everything, claiming it was just harmless flirting, that she wasn't doing anything wrong, that she needed more excitement, and I was just holding her back. It was like she was trying to twist everything in her favor, making me look like the bad guy for catching her. I told her she wasn't just cheating on me. She was lying, playing with my feelings, making a fool of me in my own house. I told her I deserved better than this, that I wasn't going to stay another second under her control when I knew she was out there screwing around with my best friend. Her reaction: she got defensive, said I was being too dramatic, and that I was just trying to control her. She accused me of not being attentive enough, not giving her what she needed, and that's why she had to find someone else. That's the moment I realized she was justifying her betrayal, trying to make me feel guilty, like I was the one to blame for her cheating. That made me even angrier because I'd always been the one trying to make this work, trying to support her, and now she's blaming me for her own mistakes. I told her she could go ahead and lie all she wanted, but I wasn't buying it anymore. I told her I'd seen enough to know I couldn't stay married to someone who lied and cheated like this. I told her I was done, that I was leaving, and she better start packing because I wasn't sticking around to be her fool anymore. Her face was a mixture of anger and contempt, but I didn't care. I had reached my breaking point. The thing that hit me hardest then was how cold she was. There was no remorse, no tears, just that bitchy attitude like she was entitled to do whatever she pleased, and I was just supposed to accept it. She said I was overreacting, that I was making a scene, that she'd never do anything like that. But I knew better. I'd seen the messages, the pictures, the lies. I'd been played and I was done playing along. I can't even remember how I packed my stuff. It was all a blur. I just knew I couldn't stay in that house, not anymore. I felt like my entire world was crashing down around me. Seeing her in her true form, so cold, so bitchy, so indifferent, hurt more than I expected. The betrayal cut so deep I could feel it in my bones. I thought I loved her, but now I saw her for who she really was: a liar, a cheat, a user. And I realized I'd been blind for so long. When I finally walked out that door, I felt a mixture of relief and despair. Relief because I no longer had to pretend she was the woman I thought I married. Despair because I'd lost the woman I loved and the best friend I trusted. I knew this was going to change everything, but I also knew I had no choice but to move forward. I promised myself I'd get through it, even if it took everything I had. Now I'm here trying to put the pieces back together, wondering how I ended up in this mess. I keep asking myself what I could have done differently, but deep down I know the answer: nothing. I was just an idiot for believing in her, for trusting her so blindly. And James, that's a whole other level of betrayal I'm still trying to process. But for now, I've made my decision. I'm out of that toxic cycle. I'm broken but hopping to rebuild something better, something I can actually trust. Walking out that door was one of the hardest things I've ever done, but also the most necessary. I remember feeling numb as I grabbed my bag and headed towards my car. My mind was racing, replaying every moment, from the first signs of her distance to the shocking discovery of those explicit messages. It felt like I'd been hit by a freight train. I was angry, betrayed, and completely lost. But at the same time, I knew I couldn't stay in that house or that marriage anymore. It was too toxic, too full of lies. The ride home was a blur. I didn't turn on the radio or even try to think about where I was going. I just drove, trying to process what had happened. I kept asking myself how I could have been so blind, so trusting. I kept thinking about all the times she'd lied to me, all the moments I overlooked signs because I didn't want to believe the worst. And the worst had just happened. I'd been betrayed in the worst way possible, by my wife and my best friend. When I finally got home, I didn't even bother to unpack right away. Instead, I sat on the couch staring at the space where she used to sit. My mind kept circling back to those messages, the pictures, her words. How could she have done this? How could she have lied to me for so long? It felt like my heart had been shattered into pieces and I didn't know how to put it back together. I felt like I had lost a part of myself, my trust, my sense of security, the woman I thought I knew. I spent the next couple of days just isolating myself, trying to avoid the reality. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I didn't want to face friends or family, not yet. I was angry at her, forever hurt, and trying to figure out what my next move was. I knew I had to confront everything head-on eventually, but right now I just needed space. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face, twisted with contempt, dismissing everything I said, acting like she was entitled to do whatever she wanted. That image haunted me more than anything. One night, I finally sat down and started writing everything out, thoughts, feelings, everything that was spinning in my head. I needed to get it out to understand what I was feeling. I realized I was not just angry, I was devastated. The woman I loved, the woman I trusted, had betrayed me so deeply I wondered if I'd ever be able to trust anyone again. I kept asking myself how I missed the signs, how long this had been going on, and why I'd been so blind. But deep down, I knew the answer. I'd given her too much benefit of the doubt, and now I was paying for it. I decided I needed to talk to someone outside the mess, so I called my brother. I needed someone who could listen without judging, someone who could tell me what to do next. When I told him everything, he was furious on my behalf, said I deserved better, that I had to be strong enough to walk away from that kind of betrayal. That was the push I needed to finally start thinking seriously about my future. I wasn't going to let her or James ruin me. No way. I started making plans. I reached out to a lawyer to understand my options: divorce, splitting assets, custody if we had kids, even though we didn't yet. I also realized I needed to get my head straight, to rebuild my confidence and to remind myself that I was worth more than the lies and betrayal I'd endured. It was clear now that my marriage was over, and the only thing left was figuring out how to move forward. But what was really messing with me the most was the sense of loss. I'd lost my wife, my best friend, the person I thought I'd spend my life with. The trust I'd invested in her, in both of them, had been shattered beyond repair. I felt like I'd been duped, played for a fool. Every memory, every moment I thought was special suddenly felt like a lie. It was like waking up from a dream only to realize everything I believed in was just an illusion. I kept asking myself whether I should try to forgive her. Could I ever really forgive her after seeing those messages? Could I forgive myself for not seeing it sooner? Honestly, I don't think I could. I knew in my heart that I'd need time, lots of it, to heal. And part of me wondered if I even wanted to try. Because trust, once broken like this, is damn near impossible to fix. Right now, I'm just trying to get through each day. I'm taking it one step at a time, trying to focus on myself, on healing. I know I have to rebuild my life from scratch, but it's hard to see the light at the end of this tunnel. What hurts the most isn't just the betrayal. It's how it's made me question everything I thought was real. And I guess that's part of why I'm sharing this here. Maybe I need to get it out. Maybe I hope someone will tell me I'm not alone. But one thing, for sure, I'm never going to trust her or James the same way again. After those first few days of shock and numbness, I finally started to face the reality of what I had to do. I knew I couldn't go back, not to her, not to that life built on lies. The hardest part was accepting that the woman I loved, the woman I thought I knew, had betrayed me so deeply. That betrayal wasn't just about the sex or the texts. It was the lies, the deception, the way she'd twisted everything to make me look like the bad guy. That realization hit me like a punch in the gut. I decided I had to act. I contacted a lawyer, got some advice about ending the marriage, and started planning my next steps. I also made a promise to myself. I wouldn't let her or James destroy who I was. I was going to pick up the pieces and rebuild my life, even if it was the hardest thing I'd ever done. I knew I needed space and time, but I also knew I had to do something to reclaim my dignity. In the days that followed, I started packing up my things. I didn't want to stay in the house anymore. Every corner, every room was soaked in memories of her, memories that now felt like lies. I moved a few things into a friend's place nearby just to get some distance. I also started blocking her on everything: social media, messages, calls. I didn't want to see her or hear from her until I was ready. That was a hard decision. Part of me still wanted to reach out, to ask her why, to get some answers. but I knew it wouldn't do any good. She'd already shown me who she was. What really messed with my head was the fact that she kept trying to act like everything was fine, even after I confronted her. She called me paranoid and insecure, and she kept insisting she was innocent. She said she was just bored and needed a little excitement, like that excused everything. That bitchy attitude, that dismissiveness, it made me realize she was completely detached from what she'd done. She didn't care how much pain she caused me. To her, I was just an obstacle she could ignore or dismiss. I also started reaching out to people I trust, close friends and family. I needed support, and I needed to hear that I wasn't crazy for feeling this way. I told them everything, and to my surprise, most of them were furious on my behalf. They said I deserved better, that I'd been too good to her, too patient. My brother was especially supportive. He told me I didn't deserve to be treated like that, and that I needed to focus on myself, on healing. One thing I did that helped was cleaning out my phone and computer, deleting all the explicit messages, pictures, and anything else that reminded me of her betrayal. Every time I saw her texts or pictures, it cut me deeper. I wanted to erase that part of my life to start fresh. That was my way of reclaiming some control. I also started exercising more, getting outside, trying to clear my head. It helped, even if only a little. Deep down, I knew I had to face the reality that the marriage was over. No matter how much I wanted to fix it, it was impossible after she'd lied and cheated so blatantly. I kept thinking about what I'd tell my future self, the lessons I'd learned from all this. Trust is fragile, I realized. And once it's broken, it's almost impossible to get back. I trusted her with everything, and she threw it all away for some fleeting sex with James. The most painful part, realizing how much I had loved her, how much I wanted us to work. I kept replaying our good times, wondering if I'd missed the signs or if I was just blind. But now I see clearly. I see her for who she really is, a vindictive, selfish woman who cared more about her own pleasures than the vows we made. And I see James for what he was, a supposed best friend who betrayed me in the worst way possible. Now I'm trying to focus on my future, even if it feels fragile. I know I need time to heal and to rebuild my confidence. I've decided to start therapy to talk through everything with a professional. I want to understand how I got here, how I let someone manipulate me so badly, and how I can learn to trust again. Because right now, trusting anyone seems impossible. But I'm determined to come out of this stronger. One thing I want to say to anyone reading this: if you're in a similar situation, don't stay silent. Don't ignore the signs or dismiss your feelings. You deserve honesty and respect. And if you find out someone you love has been lying and cheating, no matter who it is, don't be afraid to walk away. You are worth more than the pain they'll try to put you through. I'm still healing, still figuring this out, but I know one thing for sure: I won't let this define me. I'll rebuild and I'll move forward even if it hurts. It's been a few weeks since I left her, and honestly, I still feel like I'm in shock most days. Every time I think I've got a handle on it, something else hits me, another memory, a new thought, a feeling I wasn't prepared for. The worst part is the silence. That house, once full of her bitchy comments and her fake smiles, now feels hollow. I've started staying with my brother, trying to rebuild my sense of stability, but inside I'm a mess. What I've learned from all this is a hard lesson in trust. You think you know someone, and then suddenly, everything you believed in turns out to be a lie. I was blindsided by how cold she'd really been, how she'd manipulated everything to hide her betrayal. It's a strange feeling, realizing that the woman I loved, the woman I wanted to grow old with, had been secretly planning her escape with my best friend. That betrayal has left scars I don't know if I'll ever fully heal. Looking back, I see the signs: her distant attitude, the secretive texts, the irritation when I asked questions. But I also see how I ignored them, how I told myself it was just work stress or her being busy. I was too comfortable, too trusting. And maybe that's my biggest mistake, trusting someone so blindly. Now I know that trust isn't something you can take for granted. It's fragile, and once broken, it's nearly impossible to fix. I've come to accept that I can't change what happened. I can't undo the betrayal or rewrite the past. All I can do now is move forward, rebuild my life, and learn to trust again, slowly, carefully, if at all. I've started going to therapy, talking about my feelings and trying to process everything. It's not easy. There are days when I feel overwhelmed with anger or sadness, but I remind myself that I am stronger than this pain. I will get through it. One thing I know for sure is that I won't let her or James define my future. I will not be a victim of their betrayal. Instead, I'll focus on my own healing, on finding happiness again, even if it's just small steps at a time. I want to rebuild my confidence, rediscover who I am without her, and remember that I am worthy of love and trust from someone who truly cares. To anyone reading this who might be going through something similar, trust your instincts. Don't ignore the signs even if they seem insignificant. When someone shows you who they really are, believe them. And if you find yourself betrayed, whether by a partner, a friend, or anyone else, know that it's okay to feel hurt, angry, and lost. But don't stay stuck there. Take control of your life. It's not easy, but you'll come out stronger on the other side, I promise. Today I'm still healing. I'm still angry, but I'm also hopeful. Hopeful that someday I'll find someone who deserves my trust, someone who will value me for who I am, flaws and all. That's what I want now, real trust, real love, and a future that isn't built on lies. I won't forget what happened, but I'll use it as a lesson. Because in the end, the only person who can truly rebuild your life is yourself. And I'm determined to do just that.